Right, okay, good evening. Welcome back. It is Thursday night golf show. Pretty big day here in the UK as it's election time, but we are not going to talk about politics on the Thursday night golf show, you'll be glad to know. So it's been a bit of a weird week really in terms of golf. Weird 10 days, nothing major going on, and we're leading up to another major of course, but golf-wise, it's been, like I said, a little bit quiet on the news front. We need, as a weekly news show, some things to go on, so yeah, not a great deal happening. But start off with a little bit of world news because I want to go back a week really. Jack Nicklaus's Memorial Tournament, quite a few people who pulled out, most noticeably Rory. Justin Rose also wasn't able to attend. It was interesting to see Jack's comments really. He didn't hold back in some of the things he said in terms of comparisons really to the players of his day. So he made reference to Palmer, Gary Player and himself. And he sort of suggested that maybe they were made of tougher stuff maybe in them days, because Jack wasn't too pleased, I don't think, on maybe how easy it was to pull out of golf tournaments for the pros nowadays. And as he said, you know, do you think we were never injured, but we just got out there and carried on playing? And I think maybe that's a sort of I think it's maybe just a change in the generations. I think, and the whole every whim is pandered to nowadays in the sporting world, and I suppose ultimately again it just boils down to this about money, and they're protecting their assets. I mean, Rory can't afford to play with any sort of injury at all for fear of further damage, and obviously he's leading up always to the bigger tournaments, which is what they have in mind. And the same for Rose. He's had a back problem for well, over the last couple of years really. He's lessened his commitment, but yeah, it just made me laugh really that how outspoken he was about it really, and he didn't hold back. And I thought, good on you really, you know, if you've got an opinion, voice it. No one doesn't have to agree with it, but you can stick it out there. And like I said, for me, I could sort of see that I can agree with him. You know, I think it's like they are literally wrapped up in cotton wool in any sport nowadays. I'm not just referring to golf. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Jack's right. I don't know. But again, as ever, like I do with this show, it's what are your opinions? Do you think the pros nowadays are wrapped up in cotton wool, or do you think they're right to protect themselves in terms of their longer playing career? And like I said, you don't want to do any more damage than necessary, I suppose. And while we're on that, actually, because there was an interesting one last week in the and this isn't in the script. We spoke about the Tiger Woods scenario, and I'm not going to go back and talk about that story again, but it was interesting because on that evening we kind of lost 10 subscribers almost immediately, which isn't a huge amount, but still every subscriber counts, and we appreciate anybody that sort of tunes in and watches any of the videos that we do. So it's always disappointing to lose them, but it was the reason that they cited that they were not happy. And one guy, and I don't know what he decided in the end, but he sort of stated how disappointed he was that we featured the Tiger story, and that he was undecided as whether or not he would unsubscribe or not. And let's hope he didn't. Let's hope he stuck around. But I always say this: it's kind of like the discussions that we or I have with you is very much the same as what I'd have on a Saturday morning playing in a 4-ball, and the likelihood is. We ain't all going to agree on every subject matter, but we'll discuss them all the same, and we'll still have a drink in the bar afterwards. And that's pretty much the same with this. You know, it's like, it's only, I think the comment I was interested in, people don't want my personal opinion. It's kind of like, well, it's the only one I have, I'm afraid. So we haven't got much of a show unless I have a bit of an opinion on it. And then, like I said, you fire back your opinions at me and in the comments, and we have a little bit of discussion in there. And I think that's what makes it all interesting for me. But yeah, we never want to upset anybody. And if you've got an opinion, yeah, voice it. Great. I love the interaction. That's what this show is all about. But what we don't want to do is obviously offend and lose subscribers at the same time. But anyway, move on from that one. Into, like I said, that's world news finished, I'm afraid, this week. But what did have an impact in well, YouTube world at least anyway, was that the Epic irons were, we got our hands on them. And oddly enough, and I don't know why, there's been plenty of comments, I think there was a comment from, a video that was produced over in on an Australian channel, but other than that, I think we were first out there with the review of the Epic irons, which I was absolutely delighted with, because we normally, the process is, to be honest with you, is that the bigger YouTubers, they get the product first, we'll get it a bit later on in the day, or later on in the days afterwards. So we're always playing catch up, so it's hard, and that's what makes, you know, trying to make your mark in YouTube is you're always following in the shadows of the sort of the bigger boys, and that's difficult. We often playing a bit of catch up when the new products are released, but we on this occasion got the product first, or one of the first, and we certainly got the video out there very, very early, and this is what happened. This is a test of the Callaway Epic irons in the hands of the average golfer. Let's see if we can get a bit of a better strike. Oh, that's a ball. That's a golf ball. I've got my data down in front of me. Let's see what that's running out at. Okay, so 184. Now it was an interesting couple of videos really, because we did the standard, there was the standard Epic product and there was the Epic Pro. And to be fair, the videos were well received. We got, first and foremost, great number of watches, because, like I said, our success or failures on YouTube is all, unfortunately, governed by how many views a video might receive. And it did very, very well, and it'll still be doing well as we watch this today, or tonight rather. But looking at the comments, one of the interesting things, the big thing about the Epic irons is the cost, and we've sort of had that debate, so let's move away from that. Separate issue is that a lot of comments that we received were about the Callaway, I can't think of another word, not cheating, but that's the only word I can reference in terms of the loft of a club. And what I mean by that is a lot of people felt that these clubs weren't going any further than any other club in reality because of how strongly lofted they were. And we've seen this a lot over the last 12 months really. I think the strongest lofted 7-iron I hit was, and again don't quote me, this is off the top of my head, I think hit the M2 irons, I'm pretty sure the 7-iron was something ridiculous like 27 degrees worth of loft. But to be fair, right across the board, everyone's done this, especially with what you class the game improver irons. They've become stronger lofted. And like I said, people thought that was a bit of an unfair comparison. So in effect, you're not in a 7-iron, you're in a 6-iron, equivalent to whatever's in your current bag. And I get that, and I understand it. There's comments that I made on previous videos that we've done when we've been comparing product last year. The difference I would say with the new Epic irons is this, and this is what I want to get your opinion on really, and also not just opinion but thought processing behind, you know, does it really matter, just shuffling away a bit here because I'm going to need some numbers, does it really matter what loft is on the club? Is it, as I say, a little bit of a cheat, or however you want to word that? I'm not suggesting that at all, but I can't think of another reference to it, to be honest with you. But there's some interesting numbers that you might have a rethink on. Or maybe it doesn't matter to you anyway, but for the people who suggested that these strong lofts are, like I said, cheating a little bit. If you watch the show on a regular basis, you will know that I am in between irons at the moment and debating whether I'm going to take on these Strixon Z765s with the new shafts that I've put in, or stick with the Mizuno MP5s. So I've had a look at the videos that I did last year when we tested both of those products. Now, here's some interesting numbers, so here we go. My Mizuno 7-iron is 34 degrees aloft. I think that's what you class as the kind of like an historic standard loft for a 7-iron, what you'd expect. And on the shots that I hit on camera, and that's what we're going to judge it on, and these are, like I said, if I carried on hitting this ball, this is what we'd be coming out at. But anyway, 34 degrees worth of loft, right? At 5 shots on camera, 20 degrees, I'm talking about launch angle now. So 34 degrees of loft, but launch angle on the 5 shots was at 20 degrees, 22 degrees, 22 degrees, 22 degrees, 21 degrees. And I had an average carry distance of 160 yards. Okay, so that's 34 degrees, probably on average, what's that, 21.5 launch angle. And then I'll look at the video that I did for the Srixon Z765s. Now, Srixon, arguably again, have just stronger lofted these clubs slightly. And they're at 32 degrees, they're 7-iron. With their 7-iron at 32 degrees, the trajectory, the launch angle, went down to 18, 21, 19 and 19. Carry distance 170. So arguably what you might say is the 2 degrees that has been reduced in loft has had a direct impact on launch angle because it's launching at a lower angle. So on average maybe 3 degrees of launch angle, lower ball flight effectively, 170 carry. So the 10 yards that I gained in swapping irons in terms of distance was only gained because of the 2 degrees of lower loft. Okay? Hope this is making sense so far. So then you get on to the Callaway Epic irons. This is an advert for Callaway, by the way. What is that, by the way? I know that's the question everybody's wanting me to answer. We'll get to that. So the Callaway 7-iron in the standard set, not the Pro. So the difference is the Pro is 31 degrees of loft and it's 30 degrees in the... So all of a sudden we've gone from the Mizuno at 34 right to the stronger lofted end of things, and the people are questioning, and it's 30 degrees worth of loft on the standard Epic irons, right? But here's the anomaly. And this is where I think the technology in the golf club has changed significantly and why the Callaway Epic irons are different than other irons that are out there at the moment. And I stand by that because of this. The 5 shots that I hit in terms of launch angle were 22, 22, 21, 21, 22 degrees. Okay? So we're almost matching in terms of launch angle, exactly the same as a 34 degree 7-iron in my Mizunos. But the difference is almost a 25-yard gain in average carry. So for me, when the comments have come in that say, yeah, but this isn't a proper 7-iron, I'd argue that no, it's not in terms of historical loft that you would associate, but in terms of ball flight and launch angle, yes it is. And the other criticism is about spin. The debate maybe is, I mean, I still think people better than me, when you see the videos from the likes of Rick Shields, I think their spin number will be a lot better than mine, because again, the spin number that I produced was very similar to what I've produced on all 3 of those clubs there. I don't produce great spin numbers, especially from the mat inside a driving range, but I think, like I said, that figure will be increased significantly with a better ball striker with the clubs in the hand. But I also think that with the height and the angle that these balls come down at, there will be a sudden stop to the ball anyway, irrelevant of the spin that's coming on. It's the actual the angle at which this ball is landing into the greens. So, like I said, I hope that made some kind of sense. I've tried to go backwards and, like I said, look at some figures that they obviously bear resemblance because they're hit by me. All these shots were hit by me, all these clubs are hit by me, and there's a good difference in all of these lofts. We've literally got 4 degrees difference between the highest lofted, the Mizuno, right back down to the this strong lofted supposed Callaway. But I think there is science in that club that does turn the argument on its head a little bit. And the question is, again, your opinions really. Does it really matter what the loft is if ball flight is the same and launch angle is the same of standard? Because I think that's where science in golf clubs has changed. Anyway, I'll end it there, and like I said, comment down below. I'd be interested to know your opinions. Okay, so we're going to get on to some questions. Only picked, oh, I say only picked, we've only got, we only made a quick request on Facebook and Twitter, and we only got a few in, but we're grateful for that all the same. First one from Ian Gethin on Facebook, and he asked, are you glad that Tiger Woods won't surpass the major wins of Jack Nicklaus? As good as he was never a role model like Jack is. Well, Ian, I think that if you watched the show last week, my opinion of Tiger unfortunately isn't the same as a lot of people, and it's based on that really. It's based on I suppose what he does outside of the game, and some of the things he's done on the course as well. I've like I said, not a massive fan in some of his behaviour. Yes, undoubtedly a fantastic golfer, never quibble about that whatsoever, and again, he's done an incredible amount for the game in terms of what the attention that he's brought to the game, but the attention that he's brought to the game over the last 5 or 6 years hasn't been that good, unfortunately. And yes, I see Jack as a proper true gentleman and representative of the sport, and like I said, of the people from that generation as well. So I think, yeah, we don't know that Tiger won't surpass it. I think it's we can't say that for definite, but it's highly unlikely. And yes, I'm glad that Jack is still on top of that tree. Mark Jones asked, dream 4-ball and on which course? Well, we did something like this one in the very first early shows, and I might change it slightly from my answer then. So I'd probably go for, let me think now, I'd go Rick Shields, Mark Crossfield and Liam Harrison, Golf Vlogs UK. No, I wouldn't, I'm lying. I would go for Seve, who is my golfing hero. And I'd then go for, again, very controversial, we might lose subscribers over this one, a very controversial choice would then be Liam and Noel Gallagher. I'm a huge Oasis fan from back in the day, and if there was going to be a reunion, it'd be great to see it in a 4-ball with a game of golf with me, and great to see the banter and the arguments between them two. I'd feel sorry for Seve Mine to have to put up with the pair of them, but he can have a chat with me along the way. And in terms of golf course, I would choose, I'd love to play Augusta. Yeah, I suppose if that was one bucket list course that I would play, I would love a round on Augusta. Now then, third question, we're going to leave. I've made a decision, we've gone on for too long, and it's from Mark Sheen, so thank you for Mark. I'll just thank you for the question first of all, but I'm going to carry it over to next week's show, and that's because I was going to do a bit of a travel segment and focus on some European resorts. Said we're going to do something with Glencore, and but I've gone on a bit too much and a lot more than I thought I would do, so I don't like running for too long on these shows, otherwise I'll lose your interest if we've kept it for this long. But Mark's asked a question in relation to golf travel, and I'm going to look at doing a little bit of a travel element next week, focusing on a great European resort in Costa Dorada, and we've got some interesting information, I suppose, on the best courses out there. So I'm going to tie that one in, and we'll do that in next week's show, because like I said, I've waffled on quite a bit in this week's. Anyway, one final thing. What's all that about? Custom golf clubs your way. Well, I filmed a little bit of a video. It's a bit of a well, it's a little bit of a funny sketch. Well, I think it's funny anyway. I like to do these every now and again when we got the opportunity. It will be out tomorrow night, so don't miss that one. I'll try and get out there for about 8 o'clock Friday night, and you can see what this box of Callaway golf clubs is all about. Right, as ever, thank you for watching. Thank you to anyone that subscribes, anyone that comments, anyone that likes. It is greatly appreciated. I'll see you very, very soon.